Good afternoon. The Assembly is called to order. Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, Ambassadors, Delegates, Director General, I am very pleased to welcome you at our final plenary session. It has been a very busy and productive week, and I am very grateful for all your valuable contributions to date. Today's meeting will begin with Item 8, reports of the main committees. We'll first turn to Committee A regarding each of the reports. Please disregard the word draft, as the reports were adopted by the committee without amendments. You will recall that the first report of Committee A was considered and approved by the Assembly at the third plenary on Tuesday, 20 of May. We will now begin with the second report of Committee A, which is contained in document A78/44. The report contains one resolution and one decision. The resolution is entitled Program Budget 2026 to 2027. Is the Assembly ready to adopt the resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted. The decision is entitled Process for Handling and Investigating Potential Allegations Against WHO Directors General. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this decision? I see no objection. The decision is adopted, and the second report of Committee A is therefore approved. We now consider the third report of Committee A, which is contained in document A78/48. The committee contains two resolutions and two decisions. The first resolution is entitled Strengthening the Evidence Base for Public Health and Social Measures. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is therefore adopted. The first decision is entitled Notifying the International Health Regulations 2005 to Palestine. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this decision? I see no objection. The decision is adopted. We will now consider the second decision entitled Health Emergency in Ukraine and Refugee Receiving and Hosting Countries Stemming from the Russian Federation's Aggression. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this decision? I see no objection. The decision is therefore adopted. The second resolution is entitled Health Conditions in the Occupied Palestinian Territory, including East Jerusalem. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted, and the third report of Committee A is therefore approved. Let us now consider the fourth report of Committee A, which is contained in document A78/50. The report contains one decision and 5 resolutions. The decision is entitled A Dedicated Report on Mental Health for WHO's Governing Bodies. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this decision? I see no objection. The decision is adopted. The first resolution is entitled Promoting and Prioritizing an Integrated Lung Health Approach. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted. The second resolution is entitled Reducing the Burden of Non-Communicable Diseases through Promotion of Kidney Health and Strengthening Prevention and Control of Kidney Diseases. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted. The third resolution is entitled Primary Prevention and Integrated Care for Sensory Impairments, including vision impairment and hearing loss across the life course. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted. The fourth resolution is entitled World Cervical Cancer Elimination Day. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted. The fifth resolution is entitled Fostering Social Connection for Global Health, the essential role of social connection in combating loneliness, social isolation, and inequities in health. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted, and the fourth report of Committee A is therefore approved. Let us now consider the fifth report of Committee A, which is contained in document A78/51. The report contains 6 resolutions. The first resolution is entitled Strengthening National Capacities in Evidence-Based Decision-Making for the Uptake and Impact of Norms and Standards. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted. The second resolution is entitled Rare Diseases, a Global Health Priority for Equity and Inclusion. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted. The third resolution is entitled Strengthening Health Financing Globally. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted. The fourth resolution is entitled Strengthening Medical Imaging Capacity. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted. The fifth resolution is entitled Accelerating the Eradication of Dracunculiasis. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted. The sixth resolution is entitled Skin Diseases as a Global Public Health Priority. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted, and the fifth report of Committee A is therefore approved. Let us now consider the sixth report of Committee A, which is contained in document A78/53. The report contains 3 decisions and 3 resolutions. The first decision is entitled Substandard and Falsified Medical Products. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this decision? I see no objection. The decision is adopted. The second decision is entitled Interim Report of the Expert Advisory Group on the WHO Global Code of Practice on the international recruitment of health personnel. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this decision? I see no objection. The decision is adopted. The first resolution is entitled Accelerating Action in the Global Health and Care Workforce by 2030. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted. The third decision is entitled WHO Traditional Medicine Strategy 2025 2034. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this decision? I see no objection. The decision is adopted. The second resolution is entitled Incorporation of World Prematurity Day into the WHO calendar to strengthen approaches to prevent preterm births and treat and care for preterm infants. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objections. The resolution is adopted. The third resolution is entitled Regulating the Digital Marketing of Breast Milk Substitutes. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted and the sixth report of Committee A is therefore approved. Let us now consider the seventh report of Committee A, which is contained in document A78/54. This report contains one decision entitled Antimicrobial Resistance. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this decision? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted and the seventh report of Committee A is therefore approved. Let us now turn to the reports of Committee B. With regard to each of the reports, please disregard the word draft, as the reports were adopted by the committee without amendments. We will now consider the first report of Committee B, which is contained in document A78/45. This report contains one decision. The decision is entitled Health Conditions in the Occupied Palestinian Territory, including East Jerusalem, and in the occupied Syrian Golan. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this decision? I see no objection. The decision is adopted and the first report of Committee B is therefore approved. Let us now consider the second report of Committee B, which is contained in document A78/47. The report contains 5 resolutions and 4 decisions. The first decision is entitled Results Report 2024, Program Budget 2024 to 2025, Performance Assessment, and Financial Report and Audited Financial Statements for the year ended 31 December 2024. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this decision? I see no objection. The decision is adopted. The second decision is entitled Partial and Temporary Suspension of Financial Regulation, Roman numeral 8.2. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this decision? I see no objection. The decision is adopted. The first resolution is entitled Scale of Assessments 2026 to 2027. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted. The second resolution is entitled Status of Collection of Assessed Contributions, including member states in arrears in the payment of their contributions to an extent that would justify invoking Article 7 of the Constitution. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted. The third resolution is entitled Special Arrangements for the Settlement of Arrears, Lebanon. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted. The third decision is entitled Report of the External Auditor. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this decision? I see no objection. The decision is adopted. The fourth resolution is entitled Salaries of Staff in Ungraded Positions of the Director General. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted. The fifth resolution is entitled Faxed Anterior. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted. The fourth decision is appointment of representatives to the WHO Staff Pension Committee. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this decision? I see no objection. The decision is adopted, and the second report of Committee B is therefore approved. Let us now consider the third report of Committee B, which is contained in document A78/49. The report contains 2 resolutions and 4 decisions. The first decision is entitled Global Strategic Directions for Nursing and Midwifery, 2021 to 2025 Extension. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this decision? I see no objection. The decision is adopted. The second decision is entitled Global Strategy on Digital Health 2020 to 2025 Extension. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this decision? I see no objection. The decision is adopted. The third decision is entitled Global Action Plan on Public Health Response to Dementia 2017 to 2025 Extension. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this decision? I see no objection. The decision is adopted. The first resolution is entitled Comprehensive Implementation Plan on Maternal, Infant, and Young Child Nutrition 2012 to 2025 Extension. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted. The fourth decision is entitled International Health Regulations 2005, Proposed Procedure for the Correction of Errors in the Text of the Instrument. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this decision? I see no objection. The decision is adopted. The second resolution is entitled Reassignment of Indonesia from the Southeast Asia region to the Western Pacific region. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted, and the third report of Committee B is therefore approved. Let us now consider the fourth report of Committee B, which is contained in document A78/52. The report contains 3 resolutions and 2 decisions. The first decision is entitled Collaboration within the United Nations System and with other intergovernmental organizations. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this decision? I see no objection. The decision is adopted. The first resolution is entitled Raising Flags of Non-Member Observer States at the World Health Organization. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objections. The resolution is adopted. The second decision is entitled Updated Roadmap for an Enhanced Global Response to the Adverse Health Effects of Air Pollution. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this decision? I see no objection. The decision is adopted. The second resolution is entitled Galvanizing Global Support for a Lead-Free Future. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objection. The resolution is adopted. The third resolution is entitled Effects of Nuclear War on Public Health. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this resolution? I see no objections. The resolution is adopted and the fourth report of Committee B is therefore approved. Let us now consider the fifth report of Committee B, which is contained in document A78/55. The report contains one decision entitled Global Action Plan on Climate Change and Health. Is the Assembly ready to adopt this decision? I see no objection. The decision is adopted and the fifth report of Committee B is therefore approved. This completes our consideration of item 8 of our agenda, reports of the main committees. We shall now consider the last item of our agenda, item 9, closure of the Assembly. I invite Dr. Esperance Luvindao, Chair of Committee A, to come to the rostrum and address the Health Assembly to give us an overview of the work of Committee A. Dr. Luvindao, you have the floor.
Mr. President, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, Dr. Tedros, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great honor and a deep sense of humility that I present this report on the work of the Committee A during the 78th World Health Assembly. We have engaged in profound and often challenging deliberations, and this is not only limited to Committee A, characterized by complexity, compassion, and an unwavering commitment to global health. In an era of increasing instability, we have endeavored to chart a course that is defined by cooperation and not division, by solidarity and not silence, as we have proven during the past few days. I take this opportunity to echo one of my favorite quotes and one which I live by, and it says, "Life's greatest and most persistent question is, what are you doing for others?" Martin Luther King Jr. I believe that all we have done during the work of Committee A speaks to that and answers that very question, what are we, maybe sometimes in our smallest ways, doing for others? Among our most significant milestones was the approval of the World Health Organization Pandemic Agreement. This was not an easy road, as many of you know, and we must acknowledge that for many, including my own country, this outcome reflects compromise. While it advances global collaboration, equity, and access, we recognize that key aspirations remain, particularly on stronger guarantees for local production capacity. We also look ahead to the next phase of negotiation on the pathogen access and benefit sharing system, which will be critical to the success of future preparedness efforts. Nevertheless, the agreement enshrines shared principles such as those of equity, solidarity, and the sovereign right of nations, the right of nations to protect their people's health. It lays a foundation on which future commitments can be built. Its success will depend not only on some, but on all of us. The implementation must be bold. We owe our thanks to the entire Bureau of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Body, the co-chairs, Ms. Precious Matsoso and Ambassador Anne Claire, Prue, and former co-chair, Mr. Roland Dries, for their stewardship through this unprecedented negotiation. Their leadership has been a compass in turbulent times. Committee A also endorsed the World Health Organization's program budget for 2026-2027, $4.2 billion US dollars, with a second 20% increase in assessed contributions. This vote of confidence signals our collective commitment to a World Health Organization that, mind you, is more agile, responsive, and one that is more sustainably financed. Let us be clear, the world still needs a strong, empowered World Health Organization. Continued investment in the World Health Organization is not optional. It is essential for the safety, for the stability, and the well-being of all nations and all of us here today. We considered a wide range of urgent health issues, communicable, non-communicable diseases. Mental health was once again brought to the forefront, malnutrition in all its forms, and the ongoing gaps in access to primary health care, amongst others. We reaffirmed that health emergencies such as pandemics are not merely biological events, but also political, economic, and social disruptions. Within this landscape, the growing challenge of antimicrobial resistant demands sustained global attention. AMR is not limited to hospitals or clinics. It pervades food systems, water sources, and international borders. Addressing it necessitates a truly One Health approach, as we have all emphasized time and time again, grounded in collaboration among human, animal, and environmental sectors. Reinforcing food safety systems and preventing foodborne diseases are crucial components of this response, and our deliberations this week have reaffirmed their significance in global health security. Our discussions also reminded us that social connection is not only a public health imperative, but it is also profoundly human. Quality social connections enhance mental and physical health, thereby strengthening societies and economies. In all our decisions, we must remember that systems exist to serve the people, and we are here to serve the people with a people-first approach, and that human connection acts both as a means and an end in public health. We were also candid in recognizing the unfinished work, the inequalities in access to health care, the unmet needs of women, children, and adolescents, and the growing divergence between health promises and outcomes. And we committed to doing more to bring data, funding, and focus where it is needed the most. The numerous resolutions adopted this past week reaffirm progress requires more than just intention. It requires action, and it requires us to act on our promises collectively. It requires evidence, it requires investment, and most importantly, it requires action. Mr. President, dear colleagues, it has been a profound honor to serve as the chair of Committee A. I extend my deepest thanks to my vice chairs, Honorable Reynold B. Oilush of Palau, Dr. Hanan Abdul Ghafoor Khalil, and Dr. Salil Al-Hasnawi of Iraq, as well as our rapporteur, Ms. Butler of the Bahamas. I thank Dr. Claudia Nanai and Dr. Carmen Saveli, our dedicated co-secretaries, and all the staff of Committee A, Secretariat, without whom it would not have been possible to carry out our duties so efficiently. Your quiet work helps run the engine behind these outcomes, and I sincerely thank you from the deepest part of my heart. To Mr. Derek Walton and the Legal Affairs team, thank you for your wise and steady counsel, oftentimes when we had to look to you for guidance and counsel and a way forward. To the Director General, Dr. Tedros, I extend my appreciation for your leadership, for your invaluable contributions to our deliberations, and wish for many more productive years ahead for the organization to promote, to provide, and protect the world's population. To all delegates and the World Health Organization staff, I thank you. Our work here may be concluded, but the next steps must be carried forward with clarity, courage, and with compassion. And I challenge every single one of us to take that with as we go back home. And finally, to the President of the Republic of Namibia, Her Excellency Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, the first woman president of Namibia with a cabinet of predominantly women, I am grateful for the support, the guidance, the faith in appointing me to lead the Ministry of Health of Namibia. Thank you for believing in young people and once again putting Namibia on the map. The role of healthcare leaders is one of enormous stress, of heavy load, and very few thank yous. Yet, I must emphasize that it is probably one of the most fulfilling assignments of purpose, one of the few where doing good translates to lives saved and tangible impact. I wish you safe health, safe journeys, and let us return home not only with documents, but with renewed determination, with a renewed sense of hope. The world is watching, not to see what we promised, but what we will act on. I thank you.
Thank you. I would like to congratulate you very warmly for your excellent presentation and for the outstanding way in which you have presided over the committee. I now invite Mrs. Katarzyna Drazek-Laskowska, Chair of Committee B, to come to the rostrum and report on the work of Committee B. Mrs. Drazek-Laskowska, you have the floor.
Mr. President, distinguished delegates, Director General, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of our Vice Chairs, Mr. Narcisio Fernandez from Timor-Leste and Dr. Reina Roa from Panama, and our Rapporteur, Dr. Abdulrahman Al-Kashan from Kuwait, I'm pleased to present the report of Committee B. I am pleased to report that the Committee B has successfully reviewed and approved 12 decisions and 10 resolutions to submit to the plenary. Committee B has fulfilled its primary task of reviewing matters of budget and finance, audit and oversight, staffing and governance under Pillar 4, more effective and efficient WHO, providing better support to countries. Thanks to the throughout preparatory work of the Executive Board and the Programme, Budget and Administration Committee, our discussions were constructive and efficient. We have adopted a set of decisions that will ensure the smooth operation of the organization, including the scale of assessments 2026-2027. We have accepted the WHO Results Report 2024, Programme Budget 2024-25, Performance Assessment, and the audited financial statement for the year ended 31st December 2024. Additionally, we have accepted the report of the external auditor and approved the partial and temporary suspension of Financial Regulation 8.2. Committee B also adopted resolutions and decision on health conditions in the occupied Palestinian territory, including East Jerusalem and the occupied Syrian Golan, raising the flags on non-member observer states at WHO. Committee B considered 4 global strategies and plans for action scheduled to expire within the year and recommended their extension. Extension of the global strategic directions for nursing and midwifery to 2030. Extension of the global strategy on digital health 2020-2025 through 2027 and approval for the development of a draft global strategy on digital health for 2028-2033. Extension of the Global Action Plan on the public health response to dementia 2017-2025 to 2031. Extension of the Comprehensive Implementation Plan on Maternal, Infant and Young Child Nutrition 2012-2025 to 2030. The committee agreed the reassigned Indonesia from the Southeast Asia region to the Western Pacific region. We also approved the proposed procedure for correcting errors in the text of the International Health Regulations 2005. We reviewed key technical items transferred from Committee A, including updates from the Executive Board, and approved the following resolutions and decisions under Pillar 3 on galvanizing global support for a lead-free future, effects of nuclear war on public health, health effects of air pollution, Global Action Plan on Climate Change and Health 2025-2028. Our discussions were enhanced by new technologies, including real-time speaker requests, which streamlined our proceedings, and electronic voting system, which we used maybe too much today. I thank delegates for embracing these innovations and commend to the WHO Secretariat for their effective implementation. I acknowledge and deeply appreciate the dedication of Member State delegates whose cooperation ensured our progress. I would like to thank my vice chairs as well as the rapporteur. I would like to thank Ms. Miriam Medel Garcia from Mexico for chairing the informal consultation established by the committee. Mr. President, your leadership was instrumental to our success. Director General, your guidance and engagement strengthened our decision-making. I also thank the regional directors, WHO senior management, and all WHO colleagues for their contribution to the work of the committee. We have witnessed the true essence of multilateralism, diverse voices coming together in a shared commitment to global health. Yet, throughout our work, I remained guided by one principle above all: the search for the common ground. Consensus may not always be easy, but it remains our strongest foundation. I have done my utmost to ensure that all voices, no matter how big or small, were heard, respected, and considered with care. Thank you all for your contributions, your patience, and your unwavering commitment to the health and well-being of people. Finally, I extend my sincere gratitude to the Committee B Secretariat for their professionalism and diligence throughout this session. It has been an honor to serve in this capacity. The work does not end when we leave this Assembly Hall. It begins. Each delegation returns home with the responsibility to translate these global commitments into national action, to mobilize resources, and to ensure that no one is left behind in our pursuit of health for all. Thank you.
Thank you for your comprehensive report. Your leadership and sterling contribution to the work of the committee are greatly appreciated. Now that the committees have completed their work, including consideration of the Executive Board's reports, we are in a position to formally take note of these reports. I take it the Assembly also wishes to commend the Board on the work performed and express our appreciation for the dedication with which it has carried out the tasks entrusted to it. Is the Assembly ready to take note of these reports? I see no objection. The reports are noted. I now draw the Health Assembly's attention to the fact that under the provision of Article 14 of the Constitution, the Health Assembly at each annual session shall select the country or region which the next annual session shall be held, and the Executive Board will subsequently fix the date and place. I take it the Assembly decides that the 79th World Health Assembly will be held in Geneva, Switzerland. Does the Assembly agree with this decision? I see no. In the absence of any objection, it is so decided. The Director General would like to say a few words. Dr. Tedros, you have the floor.
Honorable Secretary of Health of the Philippines, Dr. Teodoro Herbosa, President of the Assembly, Excellencies, Ministers, Heads of Delegation, Members of Delegation, Deputy Director General Mike Ryan, dear colleagues and friends. My deep gratitude to you for your leadership as President of the 78th World Health Assembly, President Teodoro Herbosa. You have presided over an historic assembly, and you had the honor of being the President who banged the gavel on the adoption of the WHO pandemic agreement. It therefore gives me great pleasure to present you with the ceremonial gavel as a token of appreciation. I think in WHO's history, two agreements. The first one is the Convention, FCTC, in 2003, and this is the second treaty in the history of the organization in 78 years. So your name is now in the history books. Congratulations. And of course, of Philippines. I would also like to offer my sincere thanks to the chairs of Committees A and B. First, Dr. Esperance Luvindao, the Honorable Minister of Health and Social Services of Namibia, for your leadership as Chair of Committee A. You were in the chair when the pandemic agreement was approved in Committee A last Monday night, which is 20th May 2025, the moment when we all realized we have done it. You managed a large agenda reflecting the huge range of WHO's work. And I invite you to come forward to receive the ceremonial gavel as a token of our appreciation. You can do bang bang.
Yeah, all the time.
Thank you. Second, this one is a difficult name, but I will try. Second, I thank Ms. Katarzyna Dragic-Laskowska. I hope I'm okay. Director of the Department of International Cooperation of Poland, for your leadership as chair of Committee B. You also managed a very large and diverse agenda covering a range of important technical, political, and administrative issues. And today, I think you broke a record on the number of votes in Committee B. And I invite you to come forward to receive the ceremonial gavel as a token of our appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you
You can do gum gum.
Oh, yeah.
Dziękuję.
Dziękuję.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, please join me once again in thanking the President, the chairs, and all of our vice presidents, vice chairs, and rapporteurs for their leadership and service of this Health Assembly. And I would also like to use this opportunity to thank the Executive Board Chair, Dr. Jerome Walcott, and the PBAC Chair, Ms. Katarina Loftus. They have prepared everything for this, the success of this assembly, and please give them your appreciation. Mr. President, Excellencies, dear colleagues and friends, on Friday afternoon, I left the Health Assembly early to attend my daughter Blaine's high school graduation. When we moved to Geneva 8 years ago, she was a child. Now she is a young woman with her future ahead of her. As any parent would be, I'm very proud of her, and I'm excited to see where life takes her. But as any parent would be, I also worry for her and about the world she is entering. It's an uncertain world, a world beset by war, poverty, inequality, and division. A world threatened by pandemics and epidemics, unhealthy diets, polluted air and water, unsafe roads, and the overshadowing threat of climate change. In the past week, I have met with ministers of health from almost 50 countries, including many facing severe crises such as Haiti, Lebanon, Palestine, Sierra Leone, Sudan, Syria, and Ukraine. I have been reminded of the immense suffering of so many people in our world. But I have also been reminded that although there are many reasons to worry, there are also many reasons to hope. The words historic and landmark are overused, but they are perfectly apt to describe the adoption last Tuesday of the WHO pandemic agreement. Likewise, your approval of the next increase in access contributions was a strong vote of confidence in your WHO at this critical time. Thank you so much. In addition, you have adopted several important resolutions on many areas of the organization's technical work. You adopted a new target to halve the health impacts of air pollution by 2040. You adopted new targets for nutrition in mothers and young children. You agreed to strengthen regulation of digital marketing of formula milk and baby foods. You adopted a new global strategy for traditional medicine. For the first time, you adopted resolutions on lung health and kidney health. You adopted a resolution for a lead-free future. You established World Cervical Cancer Day and World Prematurity Day as official WHO health campaigns. And you adopted other resolutions on digital health, guinea worm disease, health financing, the health and care workforce, lung health, kidney health, medical imaging, nursing and midwifery, rare diseases, sensory impairment, skin diseases, social connection, and more. In all of these resolutions, you express the collective will of the nations of the world, the United Nations, to work together on a shared approach to shared problems. Your work this week reflects the vast scope of WHO's mission and mandate. Yes, WHO faces many challenges, but you have shown unequivocal support to meet those challenges. Yes, there is conflict in our world, but you have shown that there is also cooperation. Yes, there is division, but you have shown that there is also unity. Yes, there is inequity, but you have shown a commitment to equity. Yes, there is disease, but you have shown the commitment to health and health for all. Thank you all for your work this week, a week in which you, the nations of the world, made history. Thank you for your support for WHO and for your continuing commitment to this organization's founding vision. The highest attainable standard of health, not as a luxury for some, but a right for all. Thank you so much. Our deep gratitude from myself and the whole WHO family, and I wish you a safe trip home. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Tedros. Honorable Excellencies, Director General Tedros, WHO Regional Directors, officials, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. When I was a young doctor, I became the medical director of the Olympic Committee of my country. And the last event in the Olympics is the marathon. I just witnessed a marathon in Committee B. In many ways, the World Health Assembly is the Olympics of global health. Like athletes preparing for the global stage, each delegation brings its own strengths, insights forged through national experience, wisdom earned through struggle, and deep expertise cultivated in the pursuit of a healthier world. And though our perspectives may differ, our purpose does not. We are united by a singular calling to champion the health and well-being of all people, everywhere. Within these walls, we are reminded that health diplomacy is not a contest of interest, but a convergence of commitments. We are, above all, a community of nations, diverse in geography, history, and capacity, yet heard and represented equally in this assembly. From small island developing states of the Pacific and the Caribbean to low and middle income countries, every voice matters and every perspective enriches the whole. We are not steered by the will of a powerful few, but guided by the strength of many. It is in this spirit, rooted in equity and mutual respect, that our greatest strength resides. During the weekend, when I visited the Olympic Museum at Lausanne, I remembered when I was a humble medical doctor at the Philippine Olympic Committee, and it dawned on me that indeed the assembly captures the spirit of global health. Citius, Altius, Fortius, Communitaire. Faster, higher, stronger, together. Faster in our response to save lives. Higher in our collective goal towards universal health coverage. And stronger in building resilient, inclusive, and equitable health systems for all, together. When we entered this assembly, we were confronted with a myriad of uncertainties. However, the assembly has reaffirmed the central role of the World Health Organization in overseeing global health, while highlighting the urgent need to reform, adapt, and finance a more inclusive, equitable, and resilient global health architecture. And today, we are ending with profound hope and renewed zeal. Over the past days, we have deliberated on critical issues. Our discussions have been shaped by insight, collaboration, and a deep sense of shared responsibility. One moment will stand out in history: the adoption of the pandemic agreement. This landmark accord is more than a legal instrument. It is a symbol of collective reckoning, born from the lived experience and the painful lessons of the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic agreement lays the foundation for a more resilient, responsive, and just global health architecture. It strengthens our commitment to equity and affirms that no nation is safe until all nations are safe. We know our work is far from complete. The Intergovernmental Negotiating Body conceived the Intergovernmental Working Group to complete the negotiations on the Annex on the Pathogen Access and Benefit Sharing System, the Global Supply Chain and Logistics Network, the Conference of Parties, and the Coordinating Financial Mechanism, among others. This is not a procedural addendum. It is the ethical and operational core of this agreement. It represents our shared promise that access to pathogen samples and sequences needed for the development of pandemic countermeasures must be matched by the fair, timely, and transparent sharing of vaccines, diagnostics, and therapeutics. I salute the Assembly for the adoption of the proposed Program of Budget 2026-2027, which reflects the proposed increase in assessed contributions. The investment round represents a vital expression of multilateral solidarity. In a world facing interconnected challenges, it offers every member state, regardless of size, a meaningful opportunity to support and shape global public health objectives through increased flexible funding. These actions represent our firm commitment to multilateral goals and bring us closer to our aspiration of securing sustainable funding for vital global public health objectives. We also celebrate the adoption of key resolutions, including the accelerating action on global health and care workforce by 2030, and the WHO Global Code of Practice on the international recruitment of health personnel. We call for the safeguarding of migrant health workers' rights and strongly urge co-investments and equitable partnerships to ensure that the benefits of health workforce migration are fairly reinvested into national health systems. In the same spirit of vigilance and collaboration, I am pleased to share an important announcement. The 8th Global Ministerial Summit on Patient Safety will be hosted by the Sultanate of Oman in 2026. The summit will serve as a vital platform to advance the global patient safety agenda, one of the cornerstones of quality health care. For as we strengthen our systems to withstand crisis, we must also ensure that they are safe, trusted, and person-centered at every level. And as we close, allow me to express my appreciation to each member state and delegate. I offer my heartfelt thanks for giving voice to your people's hopes, for standing firm in your principles, and for the quiet grace with which you shaped our shared purpose. To the member states of the Western Pacific region, I extend our sincere appreciation for your trust and support throughout the presidency. Your solidarity has strengthened the Philippines' voice and helped us advance our shared regional priorities with this assembly. To the vice presidents and committee chairs, I thank you for your swift and efficient handling of the sessions. To our partner non-state actors, thank you for your insights and the rich perspectives you brought to our collective work. You remind us that health is not crafted in isolation, but flourishes in the chorus of many voices. To our interpreters and translators, I extend heartfelt thanks. Your linguistic agility and unwavering professionalism have ensured that this assembly remained inclusive, accessible, and truly multilingual. To Director General Tedros and the Secretariat, I truly value your unwavering professionalism, support, and guidance throughout this assembly. Through its many turns, the assembly has benefited from your responsiveness, agility, and innovation. Finally, to my President, Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., I thank you for championing global health leadership. Excellencies and distinguished delegates, I leave this assembly with renewed clarity of purpose and a deeper understanding of the path that lies ahead. In our time together, we have been reminded of a singular and enduring truth. Multilateralism is not merely a mechanism of diplomacy. It is the thread that binds our shared aspirations into collective resolve and the bridge through which we move forward. As we bid each other farewell, may this assembly endure in memory not only what we have resolved, but for what we have reaffirmed, that the World Health Organization remains the indispensable guardian of global health, and that we, the member states, are the architects of a world in which health is not merely promised in principle, but ensured through policies that heal, health systems that protect, and actions that uplift and keep alive the enduring promise of peace. And so, let us move forward with our spirit that brought us together. Once again, Citius, Altius, Fortius, Communitaire. Faster, higher, stronger, together. Faster in our regions to save lives, higher in our collective goal towards universal health coverage, and stronger in our building resilient, inclusive, and equitable health systems for all together. Thank you. Mabuhay. I formally declare the 78th World Health Assembly closed.